afternoon. I know you've been here for a long time and you're pretty tired, but maybe I can help you an easy way of extending longevity, just going to bed at night. So as you can see from the slide there, I have some potential conflicts, but today I will try and be generic in everything I say, so you will have a good, well-rounded concept of how magnetism affects the body. Does it extend longevity and quality of life? We're going to find out. Is magnetism essential to life on this planet? We're going to find that out too. Deep sea core sampling indicates it is. In the early 1980s, we had 6 of the major countries of the earth deep sea core samples down in the alluvial fans of the major rivers of the earth. And as they cored down, they could see from the difference in the sediments, the differences between spring and summer and fall. And so it was like rings on a tree. And so they could measure down through time how many years the rivers have been flowing. And this showed that the rivers have been flowing pretty well consistently around the earth for about 4.5 million years. Now, that's all fine, but what turned out was quite a surprise to them. Every 600,000 years, they had a die-out of the radiolines. And consequently, in them same sediments where the radiolines died out, there was a reversal in the magnetite crystals. So we had what was called a magnetic reversal. And when you're going into a magnetic reversal, you actually have a period of time when there is no magnetic field, a zero magnetic field. Dr. Valerie Hunt at UCLA, having saw that information, she thought, I wonder what would happen if we put people in a zero magnetic field. So she had made, by the physics department, one big cage, 7 by 7 by 7 foot, and she put 2 young men in there. They were wired up with potentiometers all over their body, and they had EEC and EKG and everything so that she could measure all the effects of a zero magnetic field. Within minutes, these 2 students began to cry. Now, these are young men, and they couldn't stop the weeping. They said they felt like they were falling apart, and the potentiometers showed that on either side they became very positive, very negative, trying to suck energy off the people next to them. She removed the students in about 2 hours because they began to show problems with their hearts and in their brains. And so in talking to her about the experiment, she said if we hadn't taken them out, they would have had irreversible damage. About this time, I was constructing a cage 2 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot of mu metals, which eliminated 80% of the Earth magnetic field. I wanted to see at what point we caused death. And we put in 6 3-month-old mice, which should be at their prime. The mice went into slow motion in 30 minutes. I could reach into the cage and turn them over, and they could hardly get back up. Normally they'd be jumping around, but they could hardly get back up. Within 24 hours, one died, and the rest of them compensated by eating huge amounts of food. They actually became so obese that they were almost round, and you could roll them. And this may be one of the reasons today why we have a lot of obesity, is because people are trying to get energy from their food. Now, Dr. Gumiel is head of Project Genesis, or was head of Project Genesis for the World Health Organization. When I first got involved in this, I thought maybe we're speeding metabolic processes up and people live fast and die young. So we wanted to find out what would happen in a 10 times Earth magnetic field. So we made an experiment with this involved. We put cages in a 10 times Earth field and then a cage in another room which had the normal Earth magnetic field to act as a control. To our amazement, the insects which were 23 different types, lived 5 times longer in the 10 times Earth magnetic field. And we thought, well, maybe they have a different metabolism. So we switched it and made an experiment with human cultures. Now, these tissue cultures were provided with proper oxygen and nutrition, so they would be living as long as possible. They lived 2.5 times longer in the magnetic field as opposed to the control, which were under the same conditions. So there is indications that magnetism has a lot to do with longevity. Now, back in the Babylonian Empire, you had 6 times the level of magnetic field from the Earth as we have today, and this has been validated by hysteresis in the artifacts. Now, they lived at an average age of 70 years old, and they didn't have modern medicine to do it.